Welcome to the next thing that's gonna blow up. I'm your host, Kudzai Mshambi. And in this podcast, we sit down with some of the greatest people that are shaping different industries and fields. We really want to understand some of the struggles that they are going through, the challenges that they are facing and the battles that they are fighting in their journey to blowing up. We really hope that from this conversation, you can learn something practical that you can apply in your life and make it better. I hope you will enjoy. Today, I have got none other than Dorcas, a phenomenal entrepreneur. She is a mover and shaker in the kingdom of Eswatini. We were like, you know what? Let's bring her through so that she shares some of the blowing up secrets that she is using to blow up the business that she's running. So, Dorcas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kuzai.
I hope we'll have a phenomenal time together here. So, I think, when I was looking through your profile, I was just wondering, how did a girl from Angel Blueni transition into this phenomenal lady that is sitting in front of me today?
Okay.
How was the process? What happened? Oh, you were always phenomenal from back then.
Yeah. Thank you, Kudai. I'm so glad to be here. Firstly, I'm so amazed that you did that much research to even know what high school I went to. Okay, so from high school, I initially wanted to go into film and media studies. That's what I've always loved, graphics designing. So I'm more of a creative person than a mathematics and all that. So I like creating. I like thinking of ideas. I used to draw a lot.
All right.
I used to draw, design, all types of things. So what I did was I applied for film and media studies at WITS in South Africa, and I got accepted and I got a scholarship for it.
Interesting.
But obviously, growing up as Black, African, your parents, when they think of film and media, they're like, what are you going to do with that?
Starving. You're going to be
starving. You're going to be starving, yes.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? So I obviously had a second option, international relations, which is what I ended up choosing because that was my second option. Because I also was like, okay, I could be a diplomat, and because I come from a different country, I grew up here, and then I'm studying in a different country. So that the changes of life have led me to say, okay, I could do with traveling around the world through my job. So I ended up studying international relations at the University of Pretoria. I did my honors there as well. And I got an internship at the UN in Pretoria. It was great. I got into research, moved to Joburg into research. And then I just couldn't find a job for a very long time, for 1 year and 3 months. And during that time, that's when I started becoming a phenomenal woman.
I see.
But yeah, I found myself in the food industry. I own the Waffle Palace here in Eswatini. I found myself in the food industry. But this food industry thing was more of like a passion hobby that I used to do since I was 9 years old. I used to bake.
Yeah.
I always loved cooking, watching the Food Network. And that's how I found myself actually in the food industry. And literally it's a 360 career change from what I initially studied.
Yeah, because it's crazy. I'm just looking at it from art to international relations to food. The connection there. It's crazy. It's crazy. But then I'm just wondering, do you ever regret not doing film?
I never regret.
Yeah.
Because what I'm doing right now, I still get to be creative. I still get to use my imagination, use my mind. I mean, I'm making a waffle. I'm making a pizza on a waffle.
Okay.
So that's got to be creative. So I don't regret. I'm actually happy in what I'm doing. I found myself. I'm enjoying myself. Would I do film and media studies someday
today
in life? I could if I'm given the opportunity, but it's not something that's a burning desire as it used to be before. But I do that with my social media pages for the business. I film a lot of videos for my business, take a lot of pictures. I edit a lot. I do a lot of all the posters, everything you see on the Waffle Palace page.
Oh, you do
that's
that?
all myself.
Interesting.
Yeah, like right now before we started, I had to finish doing a poster. to post. Yeah, so I love doing that. It's not because I do not want to outsource it. It's just I enjoy that. So I'm more of a behind the scenes product development, designing things sort of person. So I'm still good where I am.
It's quite interesting. It's very, very interesting. And what stood out for me is the multitasking, that you're running the business there. You're also doing the marketing for the business, the graphics for the business. How do you not literally blow up with the pressure of doing all these multiple things as a one person?
Okay, so I have a team.
All right.
I have a team, well, my employees who do the other nitty-gritty things that, like right now, I'm here, but the store is running, it's open. If you need an order, you can go to the Waffle Palace. But the admin stuff, some things I outsource, like accounting I outsource, different other things that I outsource. So the marketing, I specifically do it because it's something I enjoy. But if I do someday find a way to get someone to do it for me, then I don't mind. But I manage. That's what I can say. I manage. I write a lot. I really, really write a lot. So something as small as eat an apple at 5 p.m. I will write it down because I need to remember. So I think that's what helps me keep balance. That's what helps me just sort of manage everything. I write everything down that I need to do, and I write what time I need to do it so that I'm able to complete the task that I have to complete. And if I'm not able to do something, I just schedule it for another day because you can't get everything done in one day.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me take you back a little bit. You did a degree in international relations, and then you did an honors for it, a master's as well. Is that correct?
Just honors.
Just honors. And then you came back into the kingdom, then Waffle Palace. Now, do you think without the degree, you could still run the business? Because there's this controversy whereby people are saying, you don't need to go to school, especially people of my age. They're like, nah, I'm not going to go to school because, okay, I've been doing like a silent study, looking at the people that went to varsity and did a particular degree, and also looking at the jobs that they're currently doing, whether employed or not, what are they currently doing? And, okay, I haven't really documented this, but there is no correlationship between your degree and you're the perfect example. International relations, business entrepreneur today. Do you think you could have survived without the degree?
So this is definitely going to be my opinion. It's not a fact. Education is important. I'm not gonna say, oh, don't go to school. And I think that's a problem with a lot of us young people today. We think that, oh, going to school is lame, being a doctor is lame, being a lawyer is lame these days. We all need to be, celebrities or whatever else that we need to do besides the traditional studies, the traditional occupations that used to be really, really great. At the end of the day, we all still need the doctors, we still need the engineers, we still need the teachers, the lawyers to create. So for you to drive on the roads that you're driving on, we need the engineers, right? So you still need to go and study that. We're not all going to be DJs. We're not all going to be, influencers on social media for makeup or for music or whatever it is that young people believe that that's the direction they need to go. So education is definitely important. I think that I'm trying not to be too controversial.
You can go as controversial as you want.
Education is important. It's important. And I think that, yes, I didn't study business. I have no business background at all. I mean, I did business studies in high school, but that was high school, right? And coming into university, I studied something else, and then I got into business in the food industry, an industry I don't know of, a career I don't know of. So I just learned on the job, and when I look back, I'm like, okay, had I had a little bit of education in this field, let's say business, or education in how to organize the knives in your kitchen in the food industry, I would have started business off a little bit better than what I started as.
Okay.
So it is important to still go and study whatever it is that you're interested in. Even if you want to go into music, study. What are the notes that you need to know in music? How do I function a keyboard? You know, you don't just wake up and say, this is what I'm going to do and I don't need school. You do need school. And it then comes in later on.
Yeah.
The education that I got, it comes in later on when you need to formulate policies for your workplace.
Yeah.
You know, to write letters to companies. You need to, you know, come up with all the admin and the policies of companies, of businesses, or whatever it is that needs you to now use your brains and think. Research. You know how to research. So I did my honors and my entire year was about research.
I see.
I just did research. And then I went on to work in research. So it was important for me to at least learn how to do my research, how to do my primary, market, qualitative, quantitative research.
Things,
something you'll never learn if you'll never learn on the streets.
On the streets.
You need to go to school.
Streetwise about qualitative analysis.
Education is important, but I think that you just need to be very open-minded. Yeah.
Okay,
that's,
I see.
That's what I can
You just
say.
reminded me of the black swan theory. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
So swans, right? The bird. Normally they are white swans.
Yeah.
So people used to believe that they are white swans only until they saw a black swan. So the theory says there are rare events in history that nobody can predict. Just like, for example, the 9/11 bombing. Who would have thought about it? Like, it just happened. Or if right now an earthquake happens when we're sitting here, it's in Swaziland. I mean, Swaziland never has those. But then, boom, it happens. That's a rare occurrence. So they are rare occurrence. And I feel like when we look at career paths or whatever, the people that have blown up, we're looking at the rare people and we think they are the white swans. But they're actually the black swans. How many black coffees do we have, for example? He's one in how many DJs that have succeeded. We look at business people. How many Elon Musks do we have? He is one in how many people are here on Earth? You see, so we look at these rare occurrences and then we model our lives on them. But the problem is rare occurrence, you can never predict them. You can never learn from them. Just like you can't start developing a system to protect you from another 9/11 because it will never happen again. It's a rare occurrence. If another disaster is going to hit us, it's a very different disaster than when COVID, for example, just came. Who would have thought? So it's just that, when I was looking at this whole school thing and whatever, now I'm thinking, I'm looking at rare occurrence and basing my whole life on a rare occurrence. Maybe I'm just not one of them. Maybe I'm just not one of them.
I believe in being unique.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all unique anyways. And, we all won't come up with a very unique idea. Some of us will take an idea that's already existing and make it better.
Yeah.
So I strongly believe in just staying in your lane and focusing on your lane.
Yes.
It's very often when we start to look at others and want to emulate others, that's where we get lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
as they say.
Anyway, speaking of your own lane, Waffle Palace. I remember, when I was reading about you, 2019, you are home, unemployed. After VAS, you got this degree. You're probably thinking, now I got it, got a degree, gonna work a good job. Then boom, reality hits you. I mean, unemployment rate, especially in Swaziland, is crazy for youth, above 50%. So like 1 in 2 people is unemployed. And then you find yourself being in those stats. How was it like for you? How did it feel?
Okay, so for me, it was I had to eat humble pie.
Yeah.
A lot of humble pie. Because firstly, I didn't imagine myself doing business. I mean, it's something, all of us want to say, I want to have a business one day, but it wasn't a burning desire that I had, that I need to do a business right now. So I was just waiting, looking for a job and hoping that, this is what my life will be. When you plan out your life, this is what my life will look like. I mean, I went to the University of Pretoria, one of the top universities in South Africa and in Africa and also in the world, So I surely should be able to get a job, So it wasn't like a thought that I would actually leave university and not get a job. And I think that's what we don't understand, that it's not that obvious that when I finish here, I'm going to get a job.
Yeah.
So like my younger brother, he's in university right now, and I always tell him, make sure you're part of these societies and, try to get like small internships before you finish school.
Exactly.
Try to put yourself already in that system or in the market, so that when you get out, you at least have some sort of experience that people will actually take you over someone who has this big degree and hasn't had experience yet. So here I was, worked at the UN. So the UN, I was doing it while I was doing my final year.
I see.
I got accepted for internship there, so I did that. So as soon as I finished, I got another internship for research. And then, the research internship, I quit. They didn't let me go. I just quit because I think I got to a point where I just wanted something different. I really wanted something different. And so while I was in university, that's when I started Waffle Palace, actually.
Oh, interesting.
So I was doing it as a student while I was studying. So I used to do it at night, deliveries at night and all that. And so when I didn't find a job, in that year that I didn't find a job, I decided to now focus on that, because it was first a side hustle, right? So when I didn't find a job, I'm like, okay, let me give myself this year to work on a business plan while I look for a job. I mean, I feel like about 50 companies should know my CV by now. In South Africa and here in the country. I sent my CV to all embassies in this country and organizations. And till today, I've never gotten a call back.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's not that I had a bad CV. I mean, I came from the UN. How do you guys not want me in your company, right? But during that time, that's when I said, let me focus on trying to maybe make this thing a real thing. It could be something.
Yes.
So I spent the whole year not sitting and thinking about problems. I won't lie and say that I wasn't depressed. I was. That was my year of like intense depression.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you're looking at others. You're looking at your
peers,
friends, people you were in school with.
Exactly.
People, you used to hang out with. I mean, you got an internship even before they even worked.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, you're the one who's chilling and they're all working. So definitely that affected me. And, and just seeing my life, I thought I was going to stay in South Africa, seeing my life there.
Yeah.
And then having to eat humble pie and return.
Yeah.
And not return with like, oh, I'm coming, I've got a job, this and that. I'm returning because I need to figure life out. And that figuring life out is a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're doing this business plan with faith, hope that, look, whatever I've written in this business plan is going to work somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know when. So having the Waffle Palace store was my 10-year plan.
All right.
So I said to myself, for 9 years, I'm going to be doing it from home, deliveries. So having a physical location was something that was supposed to happen in 2030.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it happened in 1 year, literally. So I said to myself, like, I would research a lot. I love to research.
Yeah.
I would research a lot. I would, read a lot on the food industry and just try to find out how I can find myself again, like figure myself out. And yeah, before I knew it, I just found myself in Waffle Palace.
I want to take you a little bit back. The depression. Because I feel like a lot of my listeners are probably going through the same period. They're finished school. They are sitting at home, but they are really passionate about starting this business. So I think they will be really interested in knowing maybe the skills that you used or the methods that you used to overcome the depression. Because I think it takes a lot of willpower to write a 10-year business plan when everything is not working out there. You are sitting at home. How did you overcome that? You know?
Okay, so naturally, I don't know if a lot of people are like that. I'm assuming yes, maybe. Naturally, I'm a mentally strong person.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, I'm a mentally strong person. So I'm able to sort of say to myself that, okay, this has happened right now. This is where you're at, but tomorrow needs to be different.
Yeah.
So I talk to myself a lot. Even in that stressed space
Period, yeah.
or depressed space, I just talk to myself. I always say to myself that tomorrow needs to be different from today.
Yeah.
I cannot find myself laying in bed again tomorrow. I need
see.
to do something different
yeah.
tomorrow. So that, and also something that I always look at is, what do I want? What does Dorcas want to be tomorrow? And that's what wakes me up in the morning. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to get up. I have to get up. I can't be sitting. Like, I need to do at least something. And of course, I'm a spiritual person, so I pray. Yeah, definitely prayer has helped me also get through that. That's the year for me that I really created I really formed a strong relationship with God, a very, very good relationship with God, where I started learning about myself through that as well. But mostly it's just like training myself, like you cannot be in the same position tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's what scares me the most in life, just being in the same position that I was last year.
I see.
Even if it's going to be like a 2% shift, but I cannot finish 2 years and say, last year I was here, this is where I'm at. Like, even if it's the same building, same location, but something needs to have shifted somewhere. So for me, that's what helps me. I know that a lot of us may not be like this, but I'm just naturally a mentally strong person. So that's what has helped me. Even if I'm in my downest of moments, I literally tell myself, you need to get up. You have to get up.
Interesting. And then 10-year plan. Now Waffle Palace in a year. How did that happen? What made you decide to say this is giving enough turnover to become a physical store?
Okay.
Yeah.
So with Waffle Palace, I got people helping me.
All right.
By helping me, I mean my logo friend that said, hey, look, I like what you're doing. Let me design a logo for you. Never paid for it.
Wow.
Till today, it's the same logo I'm using. I've never
cool.
paid for it. It was free. You know, he was just like, I like what you're doing. I can design something for
Probably
you.
need to change friends.
Yeah, consider that. And my first website that was created was by his girlfriend.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she was like, I really like what you're doing. Can I make a website for you? You know, we'll see how far this goes. So she designed my first website for me, you know, with everything free.
Interesting.
Like absolutely free, because they're both in. And like my store, the first store that I had, it was DIY, everything. I painted the walls myself.
Interesting.
Everything was made of wood. I mean, I painted the wall with my brother, but we painted the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the wall that we have at Waffle Palace right now, it was painted. Okay, it got repainted by a professional once we closed and renovated. But the first year of Waffle Palace, that was all us.
Interesting.
You know, wooden benches. I mean, when you came to Waffle Palace, that's a renovated version of Waffle Palace.
Interesting.
It was not like that. If someone came to Waffle Palace in 2019 December, they know the real Waffle Palace. Everything was just, you know, it was just very DIY. Like we did everything ourselves. And things like the fridge we have. My mom's friend who closed down a restaurant was selling all her things. So she was selling them half price. So I managed to, you know, you take it and then you're going to pay.
Pay it later.
Pay. The dishes, the the glasses, everything. She gave it to us, and then we were paying slowly.
Interesting.
And then, yeah, that's how I started Waffle Palace. I really got assistance from people
around
for free.
you. Yeah, exactly.
For free, not even having to pay for some. And that's what I was telling my entrepreneurs that I was teaching a month ago, that it's not always about money. You need to find people who are willing to do this thing for you for free.
Yeah, exactly. At the initial
There
stages.
are people who are actually willing to say, okay, I'm going to help you out with it.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes people are doing these things for their experience because they know that, okay, the day that you start making money, you're going to remember them and maybe they're going to become your designer or whatever the case. And with things like my stickers, the stickers for my boxes and all that, I would go and like print only maybe 5 because 5 was maybe 10 emalangeni. That's enough for the 5 people I'm going to deliver to.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm going to get maybe 200 from that, you know, and then you just build up like that, build up. And then before you know it, like, you don't even understand how did you get here.
Yeah, exactly.
But Waffle Palace, the way it is now, is not the way it was when we started. That's actually something that if someone has been watching our story, they'd understand. I often post pictures on my WhatsApp status of where it started. Like, I started with a table and a stovetop waffle maker.
Yeah.
Today we have an electric one, but we started with the stovetop waffle maker.
Yeah.
That goes on the stove and it takes, 20 minutes to cook the waffle.
Interesting.
And my first experience to sell to people in a large space was at my church conference in Pretoria. That was my first experience, and it was the first and most terrible experience actually, because the weather was bad, using a gas stove, and you know, you've got 20 people waiting for an order, but that one waffle is taking 30 minutes to just brown a little bit. You know, I ended up closing everything, and then, you know, it was just the worst. And then I made 700 from the 5 days that I was there, and that 700 was the payment for the stall. It had to all go for the stall. Now you go back home with nothing.
Exactly.
The whole week you go back with nothing, but it's like, okay, it's fine.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do this again. Yeah, it's just really about believing yourself and having the picture, like the bigger picture. Because in life, there's what's happening, and then there's what's actually happening. So meaning that every small thing that you are doing now is building towards the what is actually happening, which is the bigger picture. So the what's happening is, okay, I'm printing this T-shirt here. I'm asking this one to do my logo. I'm doing this. I'm going to this office. I'm going here. I'm going here. I'm going here. All those little things that you are doing are building towards the bigger picture, because unfortunately, success has been portrayed as the, overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what social media has done to us. We think that it is overnight. But you guys will look at Waffle Palace from social media and you'll be like, oh, she just made it like that. And I haven't even made it. I have not even made it. I'm not even halfway. I have just scratched the surface of where I actually want to be. But from where I started, I have really, really come a long way. And if I actually had to show you guys how I started Waffle Palace, looking at that and looking at the store now, you would be blown away. So it's not an overnight thing. Unfortunately, it's just not overnight. And there's so much beauty in delayed gratification, and that's what I always used to remind myself. My friends would come to my shop, and they'd be like, you're a boss. Why are you staying in you're the boss?
Yeah.
Why do you have to be in the kitchen? You're this. Why can't you go out? Why can't you have a good time? People would laugh at me and say, so you've just decided that you're gonna do waffles for your life. For your life. And obviously when people don't see it producing anything, because obviously we like what we see, right?
Yeah.
If they don't see you getting bigger and stuff from business, they say, okay, it's a failing business.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, when right now in this space that I'm at, right now in my life, I'm like, I'm actually glad that I stayed the course I stayed, and I listened to myself. I'm like, it's okay. I'll be in the kitchen. It's fine. It's not a problem. I mean, I like what I do.
Exactly.
I'm going to be in the kitchen, and one day I'll be able to go to travel and leave my store 2 months, and, you know, I don't have to be there.
Exactly.
And I did that last year. I was away for 2 months and my store was running. So,
yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, as you're speaking, I'm just thinking of this quote I had from a friend of mine. He said, people enjoy the results, but not the process. Oh, let me rephrase. People want to mimic the results, but not the process. That's the biggest challenge, because when we look at Waffle Palace today, we're like, I want to be like Dorcas. You know, she's built this business, it's booming. But what's behind Waffle Palace is those painting the wall you're on. It is the making the waffles on a gas stove and not making anything after a whole week. It is sleepless nights. You have to pay employees. Probably you don't have the money at someone. You're like, what am I going to do? That's the whole process. And nobody is not a good statement. A lot of people don't realize that there's a process behind these phenomenal people that we're looking at. And this is the reason actually why I started the podcast, you know, to hear those behind the scenes moments like, oh, I built Waffle Palace with my own hands.
I built it with one rice.
Yeah, with one rice. It's quite interesting. But yeah, you're really doing phenomenal. I think it's also why you were selected on Mandela Washington Fellowship. You know, that's great. I guess a lot of people who know about it, and those who will know about it today, they would want to be on the program. And you tried it 3 times. How did that feel?
The fellowship. Okay, so the Mandela Washington Fellowship was, I will say, life-changing for me personally, because at the end of the day, whatever you experience or whatever you go through, how you use it is up to you. The success, because the part where you mentioned about the process of success, like my father always tells me that success is in the process. Success is not the result. Success is in the process. And then the process is what shows you at the end. Like what you were doing during the process is what you see now at the end. So when you see, for example, Waffle Palace right now, the success was already in the process. How I made sure that I put myself to work. Really, really put myself to work. I've worked very hard. Very, very hard for Waffle Palace against everything, even family.
Exactly.
I
think that's a big one.
Yeah.
The pressure from the family.
Family doubting you and saying like, well, you went to school. Like, why are you doing this? Why do you find... But it's okay. You know, I'll keep on doing this and I'll prove to you guys that I know what I'm doing and I know where this thing is going. So with the fellowship, the first time I tried it actually was back when I was working at the research firm, and the people that I was working with said to me, hey, you should apply to this thing because you actually could be a part of it. And I was like, what? No. How do I get a free trip to America? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
So much, thousands of dollars.
How do I even get to that point? Because it's a prestigious program.
Yeah, exactly.
How do I, like me, what have I done in my life to get there? So I applied and I obviously didn't get accepted. And then I tried again. I didn't get accepted. And I worked on myself. I worked on myself, meaning I worked on what I have been doing, what I'm doing in my life, community, because the Mandela Fellowship is more about community, leadership and community. How are you going to impact your community or your country with the lessons that you learn from the fellowship as a business person, civic engagement, or public management, whatever track you go for. So through your business, how are you impacting your community? So I had to work on those things. Yeah. So yeah, then I applied for the third time after working on Waffle Palace and also contributing to my community through, I'm creating jobs for young people and not just young people, young women. And those are the people we're trying to promote. And I also started this cloud kitchen initiative during COVID, especially because I noticed that a lot of people would want to start a food business, but they can't afford to have a physical space. So I offered my space where you come and rent it out for a very small fee. You use our equipment and, you get to produce your products here and work on your products here and send it out to the markets and have the opportunity to serve people as well using our space. So that's how I was contributing to the community with my cloud kitchen idea. So I applied to the fellowship using everything that I had worked towards or that I was working on. And I got the opportunity. I did my leadership in business at the University of Iowa, life-changing. And I came back and I approached the embassy. I'm like, hey, look, I came back with this amazing program and I definitely would want to teach this, to bring this program to youth in Eswatini. So what they used to say to us is we can all go to the fellowship because it's 700 of us from Africa who go to the fellowship. But maybe 5 of us, will really take what we learned and do something with it. Or maybe all of us can. It depends. But what you do with that experience is all in your hands because you get that opportunity. You get the exposure. It's really exposure. But what you do with it is all up to you. So because I'm a person who doesn't like to sit back and relax and just wait for solutions to come, I'm like, I need to do something. I have to do something. So, yeah.
It's quite interesting. I actually applied for the fellowship myself.
Okay.
November.
This year?
Now, November, they're supposed to be telling us. I'm waiting.
I hope you get it.
Yeah, I really hope so too. And I remember when I was applying, I was struggling. Which track am I supposed to go in? I wanted to go for the entrepreneurship track, but I'm like, nah, I'm not going to get in because I've done a lot of community service, I think.
Okay.
More than the entrepreneurship stuff. So when I was selecting a track, I'm like, no, I want to go for the because I'm looking at people like you. I'm like, I need to go for the business side.
Okay.
But then I'm like, maybe it doesn't just have to just go, the public, what do they call it? Public civic engagement.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I finally
if you're on the human rights, women's rights, and all those things, and I would say civic engagement is your...
I did for the youth chamber because I'm also the youth chamber of commerce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, TEDx also, all those kind of things. Yeah, so hopefully.
Yeah, I hope you get it. It's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, let me take you a little bit back. The COVID-19 period. How did that affect your business? 2021. Had you already started operations, or it was just after you started?
3 months before COVID, yeah.
Exactly. It was just after you started. Yeah. How did that feel?
It was terrible because we opened December 21, 2019.
Yeah.
And then momentum. Everybody wants to come to the Waffle Palace.
Yeah.
So people are flocking the Waffle Palace. Everybody wants to know, what is this product?
Yeah, and what's exactly?
What is
nobody's making it.
What is a waffle pizza or a waffle burger? I've never heard of this. So it was really, really momentum was building up.
Yeah.
And in March,
all of a sudden,
everything just came
down. The virus
down.
came.
Because the virus started in December.
Yeah.
Before December,
it was in China and
it hadn't arrived in Africa. Yeah. And then once it arrived here, we had to shut down everything. I had to send all the employees away. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And luckily, I had a very lenient landlord, so it was possible to work but still pay what you can. So I ended up working alone, doing everything myself.
Yeah.
So I closed the store, and then it just became a takeaway place.
Yeah.
So customers would order, but even then it was very challenging because you needed a pass
Yeah,
to
exactly.
get into
To
the
go
city.
into town. Yeah.
Now, if you don't have a reason why you're actually going to town,
town.
which means that you're not coming into town,
Yeah.
which means that we're suffering
Exactly.
as businesses. Maybe if you have a clinic or a hospital, then that's fine. Like
Yeah,
you're
can have a
winning,
pass,
right?
Yeah.
So even though food businesses were allowed to stay open, it was still not working for us. So I worked for 1 month, tried to do that, and it was not working, and I had to close.
Yeah.
Close for 6 months.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
close business for 6 months. Yeah.
And it's not like money is gonna just sit, around waiting.
No.
So that when they open, then I'll put
Because
money
where
back.
was the money? Like, you just worked for like what,
Three
3 months, and
yeah,
then
exactly.
so we closed for 6 months. And what I decided to do was, okay, let me try do this from home.
Yeah.
I was just trying to find all possible ways to continue.
Yeah, exactly.
So during that time, because we were still allowed to stay open as food businesses, I would go. Okay, it was closed for 6 months. I would go occasionally. Then I would text people I would post on social media that Waffle Palace is open today.
Today, yeah.
And then that 1 or 2 customers will come.
in.
They'll come in, get something, and then that's that. And during that time is now where I really accelerated marketing.
During COVID.
Yes.
Oh.
2020. Yeah, 2020.
When
Because
was-
everybody
COVID,
was
yeah.
at home, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was at home.
Oh,
Everyone was on
exactly. I
social
see it
media.
now. It actually makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Because everybody's looking at the phone.
Everyone was on social media. Everyone is just really wishing, oh my goodness, I can't wait to be out. I can't wait to be. Remember, people used to post when lockdown finishes, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And so I really used social media. I leveraged on social media to really boost Waffle Palace because, yes, people knew about Waffle Palace, but it got out of their minds quickly as soon as COVID
as
started.
it started, exactly.
Then for that 1 month, 2 months, I was like, okay, let me try work. And then I'm like, no, actually, let me start posting about Waffle Palace every single day.
That was genius.
So I would go into the store, make a product, take pictures, just make products myself, take pictures, do videos, do posters, excite people, can't wait to see you. We can't wait to see you again. And then pay for some of the, the
boosting.
The boosting.
Yeah.
Pay a little bit to boost it. So that's what I did. And then when now the country reopened, I think it was September, when everything sort of like reopened and everyone was now allowed to start moving around.
Everybody was waiting for it.
Everybody flocked. I think people from Babane were just meeting each other there every Saturday.
What?
Like, oh, you're also here. You're also here.
I wasted COVID-19.
Waffle Palace. We used to have to borrow chairs.
From other shops?
From the shops next door because we just didn't have enough chairs.
Wow.
We used to send people back because it's so
just
packed.
so full.
The store is like, it's a nice, cute little store. It's so packed, we can't accommodate everybody.
Exactly.
So we used to send people back because everybody was watching this on social media. Everyone was sitting on their phones. That's when people invested in Wi-Fi routers, right? So people had the time to be on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we opened, it was madness.
That was
just
so
madness.
genius. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I never thought about it.
And then, we worked. And then when we came back, so February 2021, we're like, okay, we need to renovate the Waffle Palace.
Oh, this is after the boom of the people coming. How many people were coming? How many sales were you making per day, like just in general?
I would say we would have like 20 plus people, and that's a lot per day for us. 20 people per day, and not even counting the people who were being sent back and the deliveries that we were making, takeaways and all that. And we also used to cater to birthday parties. We bring the experience to people.
Yeah, that's great.
So 2021, February, we're like, okay, we need to close for renovations. We need to actually make it an actual nice franchise-looking sort of setup, which is what the Waffle Palace is right now. Yeah, so we closed for 2 months. renovating it. Also because, city council had like requirements that we
and
needed
there was
to
limited,
fulfill.
what do you call it, limited capacity of people after
Yes.
this COVID.
That whole capacity thing, and city council's like, no, you need to have you need to have this, you need to have this, because it was still the DIY version, right?
Exactly.
So now we needed to really make it something really serious. And so we closed for 2 months. As we opened, 1 week later, the riots started.
Oh, exactly.
One
and
week
people
after
banning
opening.
shops like crazy.
Yeah, and that 2 months we were not active, like not making any money. But we were posting. We were still posting. And then when we opened 1 week later, riots started.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Riots started. We were closed for 2-3 weeks. We couldn't work.
Yeah.
And then during that time is when I started now thinking about how else can I still get money in without having the store operating.
I see.
And so that's when I approached Pick and Pay.
All right.
Because we make waffle cones. We make the cones ourselves.
I've seen
I think
them.
you guys have
Exactly.
seen Babane,
I've seen them.
the Gables,
Yeah.
the Hub Manzini. Babane, it's like right in front.
Yeah, it's right in front,
you.
exactly.
Yeah, the little pink case. Yeah. That's the Waffle Palace. So we make those cones ourselves from scratch,
All right.
like with all the ingredients. So because we were making that for the store, we were only making like 10 for the store, 10, 20 for the store.
Yeah.
Now, one day I was at Pick and Pay, the Hub. I was just sitting in the car looking at how people are buying ice cream. It was such a long queue.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like,
Could make
I
waffle
could
cones,
actually supply these people with waffle cones. It's something different, it's a gourmet waffle cone. So spoke to Pick and Pay, and then 2021, that's how we partnered with them and we supply them, and that has been good. So now that was my way of saying, okay, even if the store doesn't make money this week, at least we know that we're delivering cones to the Hub, because it started with only one Pick and Pay. And then because of how it was selling, Babane is like, we want it too. And then Ezuline's like, we want it too. So,
it's in all the Pick and Pays in Africa.
Oh, definitely. Amen to that.
Yeah.
So now we're just working to develop other shelf life products that we can now sell, not just in Eswatini. The vision always has to be
Outside.
beyond, beyond Eswatini. That's what we were also taught at the trade fair, one of the sessions, that we need to, Eswatini needs to think beyond Eswatini. How can I sell my products outside of the country to make money? So that was my COVID-19 dilemma story, and then the riots and all that.
Oh, but it's quite an interesting journey.
And I mean, the only year that we fully have operated from from January to December was last year and this year. And we've been operating for 4 years, but only last year and this year now. So
you remember the Black Swan theory? I can see it. You have this whole plan, and then a rare event just come through. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's a phenomenal journey. It's a phenomenal journey. And then it also reminded me of your back again to your period in the States. The Waffle Palace took you there, and this. When I'm just listening to you, it's just these crazy ideas that you keep on. I didn't know that there was a cloud kitchen. That's crazy. How you're using, because when I was thinking about it, I'm like, how can you make a business serve the community like that? Because I'm thinking you're only making money, but then the way you're using your space to actually impact the community, that's actually dope. And I feel like it's one of the reasons why you actually went to the Mandela Washington Fellowship. But then I've heard a lot of stories about the Mandela Washington Fellowship. People cry there. I've heard people like, the stress is just too much. Like, there's classes after classes meeting people. There's so much pressure. And some people, I remember, it's like, I actually went and cried in the toilet. And this is a nigger. It's like, I just went. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is so much for me. How was the pressure for you? Or you're like, I'm used to this?
Look, leadership is not easy.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'll say. Like, to be a leader is not easy.
Yeah.
And when you go for the fellowship, you are going as leaders, as African leaders. I mean, it's all in the name, the YALI, the Young African Leadership, right? So, of course, as a leader, you're going to be stretched.
Exactly.
You know, not even just as a leader, as human beings, if you want success or if you want to grow, you know, growth requires you to stretch.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like a rubber band.
Yeah.
You know, as you pull it, you're stretching because you want it to go bigger, right?
Exactly.
So you have to be stretched in life in order for you to grow. Remember this morning when we were standing outside, I was speaking about comfort.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, human beings love comfort.
yeah.
We love comfort so much. And when they put you in a very uncomfortable position or a situation, some people break down, or some people say, no, I'm going to handle this pressure.
Exactly.
So the fellowship, in my opinion, this is just an opinion.
Yeah.
It was not to that point.
RM.
It really, not even because I'm mentally strong, or I'm so strong, it really was not to that point. That's not to downplay someone's experience, but it was really not to that point where you can't do this anymore. But what I can say that becomes difficult is when you start to miss home.
Yeah.
You know, you start to... I felt it a little bit after like 3 weeks into the fellowship that I miss home. You start feeling like, oh, I just want to go back. Yeah, and you're definitely in meetings after meetings. You're going into opportunities after opportunities. For example, you're meeting with the school, the community, and you're going here. But at the end of the day, they do mention this.
Yeah.
In their
when you're applying,
their documents, they do mention this, and you sign to agree to it.
Oh, you signed for the torture.
Yeah, you sign. You sign before you go to the fellowship. You sign that you agree. They even let you know, you have to let your family know that you're going to be very busy.
I see.
You will not have time to be on your phone and stuff. So, I don't know. For me, it's part of life, and it's one of those experiences. Okay, this is one of the experiences in my life where, I have to be stretched. And at the end of the day, why did you then apply for the fellowship? What was your expectation of it? So, it wasn't that bad for me. It was just part of life's pressures.
You know, if Mandela Washington Fellowship didn't stretch, I'm curious, what's the biggest thing that has had the biggest impact in terms of stretching you like crazy? What is that?
Maybe
where you had like probably a mental breakdown. You're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Or you had the thoughts of like, I think I should stop.
Mental breakdown is definitely COVID.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was my mental breakdown.
All right.
Yeah, I think I spent every week crying. At least once a week I would cry and ask myself like,
COVID was like for a year. Were you crying for the whole year?
Not the whole year, but I mean... Really, it was just terrible.
It was crazy.
It was terrible. I mean, I'm saying, I was posting on social media, but not with a lot of energy, because I'm just like, because this is how COVID started, right?
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, you can go away. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's what I said to my employees.
Because there were weeks, when they were doing weeks, lockdowns.
It's not that deep. It's just a flu, right? It's something we've never experienced before, but it's just flu. And then 2 weeks passes, 1 month, 2 months. You're like, what? And then now it started like setting in that this might be the next 5 years.
Yeah.
This might just be the next 5 years.
Maybe the end of the world.
So it just hit me that, okay, my business is going to fail.
Yeah.
Now this is the end of Waffle Palace.
Now I can imagine people now, they said, we told you.
Oh, yeah, we told you, all sorts of things. We told you, go and get a job, and stuff.
Exactly.
And, that was my impact moment, in my opinion. That was my impact moment.
If COVID had not stopped, would you be sitting here today having this conversation?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Maybe that had to happen for me to
grow.
It had to happen. maybe I was going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe I was not going to feel like I need to do other things to get here where I am today. But maybe I needed that. But that was my mental breakdown moment where, I mean, I've wanted to close Waffle Palace 4 times, including this year.
This year even?
This year, yeah.
Yeah? What was happening?
In February, I was like, I've
I'm
decided
done.
I'm closing Waffle Palace.
Interesting.
I'm closing and I will figure out what to do with it. Not closing down on the dream, but here I'm closing it down.
And try to restructure.
And try to restructure and see how maybe I can just like take it out of the country, you know. But somehow every time I want to close Waffle Palace, I'm always getting an award for something.
Oh,
or
interesting.
Recognition for something.
Exactly.
And then it's like, okay.
Blue Sheros comes through.
Let me push. Yeah, Blue Sheros comes through. Then when I want to close, Entrepreneur of the Year comes through. Oh, I'm like, okay.
Oh, baby, I'm on the right path.
I think now, like after all this, like especially after the Entrepreneur of the Year award, and then also the teaching the young entrepreneurs, I was like, I'm on the right path, because I look back and I'm like, everything that I have achieved and done for the past, let's say, 3 years has been through Waffle Palace. That's all I do. I don't have a job or something else I'm doing on the side. Like everything, I've applied to fellowships, I've applied to things through Waffle Palace. I'm doing Waffle Palace. So I said to myself that, okay, there's definitely something here. It's not just by chance that I'm getting all these opportunities. It's definitely, there's something about this thing that I'm doing that's
interesting. Now you just reminded me of something that I actually wanted to talk about. Your experience with teaching the cohort that you had for the business innovator. When I was reading it, it's actually the second time it's been done in Africa. There's the Zambian one, and then you took the Eswatini one. What was the motivation, really?
Okay, so the Zambian one. Okay, so this one, the Biz Innovators, basically the fellows who go to the University of Iowa. Because remember, the fellowship, you don't choose where you want to go.
I see, yeah.
You just accept it, and then they tell you you're going to the University of Iowa.
And you were
first
like the
time
first
I thought, the first one.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, what? Where's Eswatini? Where's Eswatini? You know?
Exactly.
So I was actually the first one from Eswatini to be at the University of Iowa. So when I first heard I'm going to the University of Iowa, I was like, what? You know, because when we think about America, we're like,
New York. Coming, Washington,
California,
D.C.
Washington, D.C. And then you're like, Iowa?
Oh, yo. Okay. Where is that even on the map?
You know? So I was like, okay, it's fine. I'll just go. But I didn't know that going there would actually have given me this opportunity, this program, this amazing program to bring back to the country. So the fellow who did it in Zambia also went to the University of Iowa.
Oh, I see.
So it's that connection, like because you went to their university for your fellowship. So he did it in his own way and stuff. And then when I came back as well, you know, got the opportunity to do it here, and just an amazing project. Yeah, really, really an amazing project that we did.
Yeah, I was looking at the some of the things that you actually charged. You know, the marketing value proposition, etc., etc.
It's just lean methodology of doing business.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Some of the topics that I'm really passionate about, and then there's one particular topic I think is very important even to the listeners today. It is pitching for funding. And then you also do Thinkubate. Yeah, and then you're merging it with your Iowa pitching. I remember you also pitched in there. When is the right time to pitch for funding?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah. I have this podcast. When do I pitch for people to be like, yo, I've got this podcast. It's the next thing that's going to blow up. I mean, literally, that's the name. It's going to blow up.
Okay.
When should I start pitching?
Okay. You have a business idea, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a market for it? Do you believe there's a market for it?
Yeah, there is.
There's a market for
Yeah.
it, right? You have a market. Is it proven? Have you proven it already?
I've proven it, I think.
Have you done your research? Do you know how you're going to grow from?
Okay, I have this whole strategy. I wish I brought it. It's there. I actually studied the people that I feel like they really like this type of content. So it's like 25 to 35. Specifically, those people. If you are not in that age group, it's okay if you listen. But 25 to 35, that's my target audience. Because I feel like those are the people that are at the founding stage, especially here in Africa. There are people that have just come out of university and life hits them like, yo, I'm broke and unemployed. But then I have a Waffle Palace that I want to start. So if I listen to Dorcas who's doing it, maybe I can learn something. So that's my target market. And I've done a live audience podcast.
Okay.
Some of those people actually came. And my last video, the biggest video that I've ever released, got like 800 views in like 2-3 days, which was crazy because I take so much time to get. It was just like, what just happened? I was so surprised. So I feel like there are people who are hungry for the content. But then how do I pitch for funding? Or is it even right to pitch for funding?
So things like your growth plan. What is your growth plan? Where do you see your business? And what do you need the investor to do for your business?
So,
for example, is your business scalable?
I think that's a very important one.
Is it a scalable idea?
So those are the questions that I should be asking. Because when I was reading studying about pitching, that was one thing that I was thinking about. Like, is it even scalable? Because maybe it is not the business for funding. Because if I'm an investor, I'm looking for a return in an investment, and I'm looking at this podcast. It's gradual growth. Literally, if you look at the graphs of podcasts, they start really slow for the longest, and then boom, then just boom, like. But those are also rare occurrences.
True.
Not all podcasts they have that kind of graph.
Exactly.
Yeah, not all podcasts have that kind of graph. But yeah.
So those are questions you need to ask yourself. Like, what's my growth plan? Where do I want to be, let's say, 10 years from now? And what do I need that investor for? What do I need someone to invest in my business for? Based on where you see yourself, right? And is your business idea scalable?
Yeah, I see.
Those are the questions that you need to ask. Then you'll be able to know if now I need an investor for my business. But if you can't answer those questions, then you might not be investor ready.
I see.
Yeah.
How do I phrase this question? Are all businesses investable? Or there are some businesses that just do good on their own, they don't need investors?
I think that every business needs a team of people in order for it to grow.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I think. And an investor is part of your team.
I see.
Even if they might not have a direct day-to-day hand in your business, but they are still part of your team.
Okay.
So yeah, all businesses
point.
every business that sees themselves growing really much big, that every business that has a bigger vision definitely
is
investable. Yes.
Quite interesting. And then Waffle Palace, have you gotten external investment at this point, or you are still scaling yourself or getting yourself ready to then invest?
Okay, so for me, at the point that I'm at right now, I am already looking for investment. I am looking for investment because I feel that I am now at a point where my business is now, my business is investor ready because I have all the systems in place. We know what we're doing. We know how to, how the process is like from the beginning to the
To the
end.
end. Getting the waffle ready.
We know what the business should look like 10 years from now. I have an idea of what the business should be 10 years from now. I know what I want out of it. And especially because how I mentioned to you that we are already in retail, but we are planning to develop more shelf life products.
I see.
So definitely for something like that, you need investment, because some of these products will require,
like,
let's say, a factory.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Like
you
when you're
liaise with a factory to make the product for you. So you definitely need investment if you don't have that money yourself. So yeah, my business is definitely, that's why I'm actually now pitching, because I believe that I'm ready for that.
Can't wait for the day I will travel to Joburg and I'll sing Waffle Palace.
Yeah, like the idea is for you to have a Waffle Palace experience everywhere you go in Africa. That is the idea. So I definitely know. I mean, look, it can be a 20 years plan, 10 years plan, but it could happen in 2 years.
All right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm really, really glad that we had this conversation. I've learned a lot. I hope the listeners have as well. But before we go, anything else that you would want to say to the people that are listening? Any advice?
Well, I feel like my entire morning here has been
Always
the advice.
Yeah.
Everything that I've said is the advice. But I think something that I can say is that I know everyone always says don't give up, but it's actually a very underrated phrase. Don't give up.
It's become a cliche.
It's not as cliche as we think it is. It's really underrated, but yeah, not giving up is very it's very important. That I mean that sums up everything that I want to say about my journey. That don't give up. Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful journey. I am so much impressed, and I have so much to learn from you. I really hope I can sit down with this podcast and, with a pen and notebook and start writing the lessons. I hope you guys, they're listening, you're doing the same, because this is some jewels that's been talked about on this podcast. So if you, before that, where can they find Waffle Palace?
In Manzini. So the building before the George Hotel, just after the F&B complex, opposite Gulp. So there's that building in the middle.
Yeah.
So we're upstairs. If you know Jules Vicente restaurant, we're just above them. That's where the Waffle Palace is. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, the Waffle Palace, and also our numbers are there on the social media pages. You can call us. We can give you all the information. If you want our waffle cones, go to Pick and Pay the Hub, the Gables, Ezulwini, and Babane at the mall for some waffle cones.
And make sure to stop by and get the waffle pizza and the waffle burger. It's
yes,
fire. Trust me.
Waffles.
It's blowing up. It's blowing up. Anyway, thank you very much for sharing your space really with me and the audience. I really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing all those lessons. And if you have liked what you've listened to, make sure you go to Waffle Palace website and social media pages and follow them. And also make sure you like, comment, and share this episode with anybody that you believe can learn something from podcast. And from me, Kudzai Mushambi and Dorcas, thank you very much. We are out.